right. Hello and good evening. My name is Kyle Eric, and welcome to a new episode of A for Abled. So, as you know, every week we talk a little bit to some great people about mental health, wellness, living with disabilities, whether they be mental, emotional, or physical. And today we have two great coaches. And by coaches, we're talking coaches in the mental, spiritual, all of that realm. And honestly, I can't wait to talk to them. One I've known for a while, the other one I'm just getting to know. But they are both athletes in both the mental and physical space. How y'all doing with coaches Lanetta, Marshall, and we got Rhonda Rajsich. How y'all doing today?
We're doing great. I love your voice, Kyle. I freaking love it, baby. I'm doing incredibly well. Rhonda, how you doing, girl?
I'm doing stellar today. I'm doing great.
Woo!
Excellent, excellent. Now I know that you guys have been on your podcast promo tour. Um, no, I had the pleasure of listening to one of the one of the other podcasts you did. Shout out to Coach Sam, and also shout out to Tea and Cornbread. And really, like, okay, so I guess I'm what? So how many shows have y'all done so far?
Two. You're our third.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, so on the third. Okay, so on the third stop. Nice. Okay.
Mm.
All right. All right. So, um, so to start things off, Miss Lanetta, you and I met not too long ago, thanks to my mom, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And you describe yourself and your profession. You are a transformational coach, correct?
Well, I've changed it.
You've changed it.
Yeah. So layman's terms, I'm a transformational life coach. But in
Okay.
Lynetta Marshall's terms, I am a dream architect.
A dream architect. All right.
Yes.
Okay. And for those who are just hearing that for the first time, can you break down what that means?
Absolutely. I am so honored and blessed to be able to serve purpose driven people. I work with them to help them not just dream about a better life, but also create the life and live
Mm,
the better life.
mm,
So I am a dream
mm.
architect. Yep.
Got you. And Miss Rhonda, you yourself, even though I just listened to part of the interview again, I had to go back and look you up. You are a decorated athlete. And also you and Miss Lanetta, you kind of tag team on the mental and dream space. So how would you describe what you do?
Um, well, I, like I said, I always believed since I was a little kid that life is a mirror for sport and sport is a mirror for life. And I've
Hmm.
used a lot of life experiences to help me win on the court and a lot of court experiences to help me win in life and overcome. Uh, I think that's probably why I'm still here. I've had quite a few near death experiences. It's a miracle I lived past
Hmm.
3, to be honest with you. I had to have a life-saving surgery when I was a toddler, and
Mm.
there was a 1 in a something million chance that I would survive the surgery, and another 1 in a something million chance that the surgery would be a success. And if I lived, but the surgery wasn't a success, I was going to need surgery after surgery after surgery after surgery throughout my life, probably. So, guess what? One shot. I'm still here.
All right.
So
Yeah.
from the beginning, I kind of felt like I was living on borrowed time, and I feel like I've had a few other close calls as well. Life just happens, and thankfully, life is still happening. And I feel like the reason I'm still here is to share so many things that I've learned, so many things that I've experienced. Hopefully, that others don't have to go through that level of experiences to get these same kind of tools and perspectives and the ability to overcome and strengthen all those things. So I'm here to be a servant CEO to anyone that I can help, and I'm grateful to be here.
All right. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Wow. All right. We're gonna go back to that during this conversation. During this conversation. Man, wow. So how did the two of you meet?
Go ahead, Rhonda. I'm gonna let you lead off if
No,
you're
you take this one. I like you take this one.
okay. So Rhonda and I first met when she was a participant at one of my virtual workshops called
Mm,
Romance Your Finances, Know How to Have Money Chase and Catch You. Then from there, that led into a conversation. She liked what she heard. It resonated with her. We had an additional conversation, which led her into enrolling in one of my coaching programs called Cultivate Financial Freedom, which then led into me getting to know her as a person, then realizing who this amazing woman was and is,
mm,
which then led me into signing up with her as a client. So we both have been each other. We have a coach client relationship, and I was her client, she was my coach, and she was my coach, and I was her client. And we're friends. Like it's my sister. So yeah,
I can tell. I can tell.
yeah,
I no, I can tell.
okay.
You never know. You never know who you're gonna meet doing the stuff that that you do. Some might be clients. Some might be long-lasting friends, sisters, brothers, relationships. You never know.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
especially when you guys have both been through your own your own shares of ups and downs, right?
yes.
It's yeah, it's absolutely it's like based on your story, Miss Lanetta. Um, I'm gonna be honest. If I was in your shoes, I don't know what I would have done. So so in your so correct me if I'm wrong, but at some point you had hit rock bottom,
Yup.
right? You had hit rock bottom, and after a long time and getting and getting the help that you needed, after first accepting the fact that you needed the help,
Woo, that's huge. Yep.
accepting the fact that you needed the help. This is coming from somebody who did not like asking for help at all.
Correct.
Anything from like I can kind of, even though it's a different life experience here, I can understand what it's like not wanting to be vulnerable, not wanting to talk to people about how you're feeling when you're feeling it because you don't think anybody else will understand. Not to mention, you had years before that, while that was so that was build up. So while I can't
Absolutely.
understand fully, I can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, can I go a little bit deeper into that if you don't mind?
please,
Just a little
please.
bit deeper. So, like, for example, what Kyle is talking about is prior to me hitting rock bottom on paper, I looked amazing. Amazing. Meaning you have this woman who's a corporate America professional making a very nice six-figure income, right? And I love to travel, and I'm traveling almost every 6 weeks or so. I was with a company for almost 25 years, same company almost 25 years. So do you think about
Mhm,
that? In executive type positions, most of my career there. And in one stance, I was in management there with a team. One time I had a team of 8 people, another time of 11. So you think about this on paper, it looks great that Lanetta has it all together.
mhm,
Neat. So Lanetta did not have it all together when life showed up. And when
mm,
life showed up, things that I thought I handled and fixed on my own, because I thought I needed to be fixed, and I don't believe in anybody needs to be fixed. That's part of
mhm,
my recovery and my own internal healing. Here I am having all the money in the what all the money that I felt that I needed. I know what it
mhm,
feels like to earn over $1 million, seeing over $1 million go into your bank account. But then how can that same person who on paper has it going on and has this money, it got to a point where I was down to my last $900.
mm,
Amazing now. But I was down to my last $900, lost the fiance, 12-year relationship, gone. Lost my house, foreclosure, gone. Okay. Lost the career, gone. Lost some friends, gone. Like I said, lost the money, which was huge for me. I didn't know at the time that I thought money was my identity. So when I didn't have it anymore, my identity went in the toilet. But when I had it, I thought my identity was there. Like I learned so much.
Mm,
So
mm.
I hit rock bottom. I'm also a woman that has dealt with mental I don't want to say issues because I don't really like that word, but I was diagnosed in 2009 when I was in my 40s that I dealing with clinic depression. And
Depression.
so I've
Mm-hmm.
dealt with 3 bouts of depression throughout my adult life,
Mm-hmm.
severely to the point where I was on a high dosage of antidepressants, 300 milligrams of antidepressants. 300,
Sheesh.
yep, 300 milligrams of antidepressants, 300 milligrams of sleeping pills, suicidal thoughts. I had missed 4 months worth of work back in 2009. I get the help I needed, but I thought I was all together. And so I took myself off. And then I had a relapse in 2011. And then I missed 7 months worth of work. Not all in the row, 7 months, but in a 12-month time frame, I was not working for 7 months. And then in 2011, left the career, or should I say the career left me? To be honest, the career left me. And then I
Mm-hmm.
found myself self-employed. Since 2013, I've been self-employed. And then in 2018, like I said, the just everything just came to a halt. All that stuff left me. And the biggest thing that I lost that I did not know, and I'm so glad I found it, I lost me.
You lost your sense of self.
I lost my sense of self. I didn't realize
Mm,
that my identity was tied into things which weren't really who I truly am.
mm,
And I did not know how to manage and survive in this world anymore. The suicidal thoughts came back, and I'm so glad I had the inclination to finally be vulnerable and not care about what I thought people would say about me. And I reached out and got some professional help because I had an unfortunate incident happen to me with sexual trauma in my
mm,
earlier years that I never got any medical help with. I thought I dealt with it by suppressing it. That was a disaster. And so I reached out and I started working with a therapist, actually a sex therapist in May of 2018. And then I started working with a life coach in January of 2019. And less
mhm,
than a month, just a matter of a few weeks working with my life coach, I was able to tap into what my calling was. And I'm the same woman that earned over $1 million, got down to her last 900 and lost all that stuff, but then within 18 months of only having $900, how was I able to invest over $100,000 in my care with cash? I didn't have any credit cards because you get a foreclosure, ain't nobody trying to give you no credit.
hmm,
So that was how did I do that? And so here I am today, just like Rhonda, to share with individuals and to stand for, with, and by people when they feel they don't have enough strength to stand for themselves anymore. I'm here to
mhm.
stand with them to say you are worthy and deserving of your heart's desires. You really are. So let's go. Let me help you close the gap sooner than later and save you time because I'll be 60 this year and I don't want you to wait until you later in your life getting a clue. Rhonda, whenever I say that, Rhonda just shakes her head every time I talk about my age because she says it's such you're just lying, Lanetta. You're lying. So
It
whatever I can do to support you in learning how to live with so much joy and fulfillment, even when life happens, and how to truly thrive in life, not survive life, but get to the other side to where it starts making a whole lot more sense and learn how to live effortlessly because that's why we were created to live this abundant, free life with so much peace and joy.
I no, I agree. I agree. I've I've known some people who were just surviving and not living. Like they were doing things because they had to. Like
Mhm.
like paying the bills, paying your rent, making sure that your kids were eating, but you didn't eat. You know what I'm saying? It was stuff like that. They were taking care of what they had to take care of, but they did not have time to take care of themselves, and it ended up showing. You know, so I'm honestly with that statement right there, I'm glad that yourself and your profession exist. Miss Rhonda, what is it that now you have been you've been an athlete basically your whole life, right?
Pretty much since
And
birth.
based on a prior interview, it runs in the family.
It does. It does do
It
that.
runs
Yes.
it runs in the family,
Yeah.
right? And as soon as I googled your name, all this stuff came up. I'm like, oh, okay, no, they weren't joking. I know they, I know, I I know they weren't joking. But where like exactly when did your transformation happen?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer that. That's a little bit of a loaded question for me because I don't feel like I've ever stopped transforming.
Mhm.
I
Right.
remember very clearly. In fact, Lanetta asked me a question about this just a couple of weeks ago over text, and my answer was when I was 8 years old. I remember exactly where I was. I remember exactly what I was doing, and out of nowhere, I got struck with a download, like a lightning bolt,
Mhm.
and it was my own voice giving me some kind of wisdom that I needed to know. Didn't know why I needed to know that, but I heard it clear as day. It was my own voice, but it wasn't coming from me. And it said, "There will always be a twinkle of me that no one else will ever see." And I knew what that
Mm.
meant in my little 8-year-old brain. What that meant was that this light inside me, this orb, this energy. It's
Mm.
kinetic. It's always moving. That's why nobody can see it, because it's never still long enough for anyone to catch a glimpse. And I knew what that meant for me at the age of 8. I don't know why, and I don't know why my 8-year-old brain put it in that context, but um, it meant that uh, we're never not evolving. We're never not
Right.
transforming. We may
Mhm.
feel stuck, but we are never actually still. Um, I mean, I believe that our life essence is not created to be still, and that's why it's constantly a kinetic source.
Mm.
That said, I have my own little theory on what I call um, butterfly phases, and I believe that we go through many of these stages, not just one. I mean, in a caterpillar turns into a butterfly, and that's it. That's its lifespan.
Mhm.
I believe that human beings, we have multiple butterfly stages where we transform from that caterpillar into a butterfly again and again and again and again and again. And to me, that is the essence of our growth, of our evolution, of our growing and becoming, all that we are meant to be. I know Lanetta
Mm.
and I have both said, this what we're doing here, this workshop we're going to be doing at the end of the month, it is to offer certain things to folks who are able to attend, that it gives you a different set of tools when you go through this
Mm.
phase. Or maybe you've had many of them, and now you want to have one intentionally. It didn't happen to you, it happened for you, right?
Mm.
It's a way of having purpose and clarity in
Mhm.
transformation, not just, oh, look, another wave, hope I surf this one instead of drowned. It allows you to be more prepared. It allows you to have control over the wave, not just the surfboard, but control over where you're going, how you're getting there, and what you're going to become through this next phase. And then it also will prepare you, for the next butterfly stage after that, and the next one after that. I don't believe that any humans go through just kind of one set of evolutional transformation life events. I mean, life be life and all the time.
True.
Life and all the time. And the
Facts.
more you understand about who you are, the
Mm.
power that you really do have, the power that we as beings really do possess.
Mhm.
I think it's amusing, cosmically amusing, not literally amusing, but we spend so much time worrying about things that are not under our control. We spend so much time trying to control things that are not within our control. But then the
Mhm.
things that are in our control, it's like we refuse the responsibility of acknowledging and accepting and taking the reins of those things that we can control, right?
Mm.
I think if we find a little guidance, a little clarity, and a little oh wait, this this isn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. Oh, wait, this doesn't have to be difficult. Oh, wait, this doesn't have to be swimming upstream all the time. We are, as Ms. Lanetta says, we were created to live an abundant, joyful life. And for some reason, that's the thing that we keep at such a distance. It just seems like this far off thing that we're constantly looking for, hoping for, wishing for, but not willing to do anything to take the steps in that general direction.
Mm.
And when you realize that you have the power to take those steps, it's not as far off as you think it is. I mean, I like to call myself an elevation coach because I'll help take you from where you're at to where you want to be. And a lot of times, overwhelmingly so, when I start working with someone, the first kind of aha moment they have is that I'm like, oh, it's not, on the other end of the universe. It's actually next block up, make a left, second door on the right. You're literally right there. It's not that far.
Mm.
You just have to know that exactly what you need to do to get there, and here's how we can help you.
All right. Okay, so I wanna talk a bit about where y'all started. Like when you started, getting the help you needed after what had happened, and then you started helping others. So I want to start with Miss Lanetta. Like, when did you finally get some help, and then you knew that this is something that you were meant to do?
Okay, so in my life, all hell broke loose in April of 2018. And then I went ahead and sought professional help for the very first time in May of 2018. Then in January of 2019, I started to work one on one with a transformational life coach. And then before February of 2019 happened, I realized why I was created. As I tell people, I know why my father got my mother pregnant and had me. I became very clear as to what my purpose on this planet is, which is to serve. And it's my way of expressing joy in my life, right? It's my way,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so this is what's so funny. I got the download. So I call it a download when the powers that be are communicating with me, giving me direction. So I call it a download. I got the
Okay.
download late January of 2019, early February of 2019, but I did not answer the call that I got. I did not take action on my download until October of 2019, which then led into me doing practice sessions with people, meaning
Mm-hmm.
I'm serving them and coaching them, but I was doing it for free. One thing for me, integrity is super important. And it didn't sit right in my spirit to put a dollar amount to a service that I say I provide if I had never provided the service before. If that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense, that's how I work. So I was sharpening my skills in December of 2019. And from me sharpening my skills, I landed my very first paid client in January of 2019. It was a person that I served them for free. They liked the results, wanted more of Lanetta. They signed on with me to do a 8-hour stint with them. After that, they signed to work with me for a year.
Wow. How did you feel when you got that first client?
I felt great, but I was scared. I was
Been there.
scared because here's the story in my head. Who in their right mind is going to pay me to work with them about bettering their life when my life is all screwed up? Who,
Mm.
right, right? Who in their right mind is going to do that? But I'm so grateful because I get it now. I'm like, okay, God, I refer to the power that's breathing life into me as God. I don't know what name other people are calling it, but for me, God, honey, baby, sweetie, there's a bunch of names I give him. And
Mm.
I do. Sometimes he's dude. There's a bunch of different names I give him. And I had said, oh my God, I understand why I've gone through what I've gone through because it makes me relatable. Like this isn't textbook fluff stuff. This is real. I've had the pain. I've been down and out. I've been almost broke. I've had my heart broken. I've lost the career. I've lost the money. I've been there. I've been there. I've struggled. I never could understand, and this was the judgy Lanetta before I became more refined as the woman I am today. Still work to be done. I couldn't understand how people would say they had to make ends meet and they live check by check. Because I didn't live check by check my entire adult life up until the
Mm,
latter part of my adult life. I had all this money and I had no kids, I had no husband, so I was just doing what I was doing in relationships. But the money was mine, and
mhm.
then what I would do with who I was involved with, and I just couldn't understand. What do you mean living check by check? But baby, then I understood what that statement meant. And then the struggle. And then as I been immersed in my growth and my development, and like to Rhonda's point, finding out that there's tools out there. What are these tools and how to use them, and having an expert guide me through and navigate me through life. So when life shows up, I know how to not have life happen to me, but I get to happen to life. And then I
Mm.
became a lot more appreciative of, okay, I get it. I get it. And a lot of times I create coaching programs and workshops around my crap, around my pain and sorrow and frustration and pissed offness, and how I overcame. And I do it in a way that's unique to who I am.
Mhm.
So,
Yep,
yep.
yep. So, Miss Rhonda, where did like, you wanting to you wanting to help people after finding help, like, where did that begin for you?
Um, I think a lot of it was just kind of inherent. I feel very,
Mhm,
very blessed to be mentored by, taught by, invested in, and supported by a lot of people around me, including my family, including my athletic coaches, including friends that are definitely those 3 a.m. friends that you could call from any orbit of the galaxy and they'll show up for you. Um,
mhm,
and it's pretty incredible to know what that kind of support feels like. And if I can be any kind of beacon for anyone who is in need of any of those things, I'm happy to be here and serve in that way.
nice. Nice,
Although
nice, nice.
I do have an addendum to that answer actually.
Yep, go
I
ahead.
was doing a speaking thing at the Sheraton LAX, and I did my stage thing, and then there was a break, and I got swamped during the break, and just so many questions and so many all kinds of conversations happening at once. And this pair came up and they were very heavy into NLP.
Mhm.
And one of the things they wanted to do was put me through like this rapid fire Q&A. Like they're just going to ask and don't think about it, just answer whatever comes out of your mouth. And I stumped her twice, which was great because she doesn't get stumped. The first time I stumped her, she said, if you could do one thing until the second that you died, what would it be? And my answer was to play catch.
Play
Because
catch.
as an only child, I never had anyone to play catch with. Of course, I want to play catch. I don't have anyone to play with. So
Oh.
the second time was if if it wasn't about the money, if you hit the lottery 3 times this week and it wasn't about the dollar amount, um, what would you want to do for work? And I just blurted out, speaking and helping people. Oh, well, I guess that's what I want to do then. Like I was hearing it for the first time too, but that's what flew out of my mouth. And I mean, I was at a speaking event, so I've already been speaking. But as far as if it wasn't about the money, and she also qualified, and it wasn't competing in something, because obviously I'm going to compete, until I die. So
Yep.
um, it was just one of those kind of aha moments where you know it downloaded before it even registered, and I blurted it out, and
Mhm.
that's what it went, and here we are making that dream a reality.
Making that happen.
Yeah.
Can you describe that first speaking engagement, if you can remember?
um I mean, that was not the first one. I think I spoke to a basketball team, and this was actually before the event,
Mhm,
the event that taught me so much about my life and about life and about myself.
mm,
um I was speaking to a college basketball team. They were not performing well. They were not on the same page. They're just the culture of the locker room, if you will, the chemistry of the team was way off.
mm,
And so, I mean, I've actually had the benefit as an athlete of playing an individual sport like racquetball and a team sport, I played basketball. I'm actually better at basketball than I'm at racquetball to this day.
Really?
Yeah, not even close. But having to, when I'm playing racquetball and I'm at a tournament and I'm all by myself. I mean, I have a coach, but he's got other players too. He's got a family. He's got other commitments. He's not always there. And when I'm coming out on a timeout and there's no one there to give me, hey, she's leaning this way, or every time you hit this, she's hitting that. Every time she serves this, you're returning with that. She knows where. I'm not getting any of that. No one to hand me a towel, no one to say, do you want a Gatorade? None of that. I'm just completely alone. And all I've got is myself, my wits, what I see, what I can observe, what I feel, what I think, and what I'm going to do after this timeout going forward so I can win this match. At the same time, I have been supported by my coach. I have been supported by friends and family at tournaments. Infrequently, but it's still a great sensation. Also being a member of the US team for 24 years, those same teammates that I'm competing against the rest of the year, when we're at US team events, we're cheering for each other. We're there for each other. We're rooting each other on.
Right.
We're coaching and practicing and supporting each other in those venues. With basketball, it's the same thing. I think that even the chemistry of the team is almost more important than the talent on the team. In fact, I would say it is definitely more important. A team with great chemistry is far more powerful as a unit than 5 individual talents, no matter how great that talent. And so in that regard, I'm able to reach people at an individual level, at a personal level, and at the facilitator level. Like that's why I do executive coaching and whatnot as well. Is to get that team aspect of things, everyone performing their cogs function in the right timing and efficiency for the machine to work as effectively as possible.
So you mentioned an event that changed your life. You mind elaborating on that?
Yeah. So the way that it changed my life is because it certainly did not change my life, and it could have. In 2008, I got jumped from behind by 2 guys with brass knuckles. They shattered the right side of my face. My eyeball almost fell out. I had to have facial reconstructive surgery. And 6 weeks later, I was able to talk my way into maintaining my spot on Team USA and was able to go to the World Championships. And I actually won my first world title without losing a single game, not allowed to eat solid food yet or go to sleep laying down. And I was 37 pounds underweight.
All right, hold on a second. Okay, so I only heard this vaguely in one of the other interviews, but you got jumped, and you still competed after it happened.
Yeah.
Like you took some time to recover, and you were still basically in recovery, but you still were on the team. And okay.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. Because the first thing that came to my mind was because I'm very visual, right? So I'm thinking of it like a movie, right? You said dude came behind you with brass knuckles.
2.
Right? 2
guys.
Sorry. 2 guys, 1 had brass knuckles. Was this okay? Was this a random occurrence, or did they know you?
I don't know who they were.
You don't know who they were. It just happened.
There's a lot of different theories on that. My personal opinion, because I was the only one who was there, is that it was wrong place, wrong time.
Wrong place, wrong time. Okay, so I'm guessing that they were just trying to. It could have been anybody. That's what I'm getting from that. It could have been anybody. You were just targeted. Wow. Okay. Wow. That is a lot to unpack. But this is exactly why we're here. And so you're saying that could have changed your life, but it didn't at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, so it changed my life in the way that there are still some foods that I can't eat at all. It's too painful. My pain level on a daily basis on my best day is a 10 out of 10. Today it's about a 37 out of 10.
Oh my God.
But it was like at an 80 2 weeks ago. I'm grateful it's a 37. And that's out of 10. And I'm basing that 10 based on the most excruciating pain that I was in immediately after the attack, and those 6 weeks in between getting facial reconstructive surgery getting jumped, facial reconstructive surgery, and going to Worlds, that was like my absolute 10 at the time. It is so much worse now. It is so much worse now than it was. And I've had several subsequent surgeries. Like, I think I'm on like 16 now. My most recent one was just in March of 2021. And that was in March of 21. And by January of 22, they told me I needed another one. I'm like, no, I just started to eat solid food again. Like, no, we'll wait. Like, I'm not doing this again, like this soon. Like, time out. But it's that daily pain is my daily reminder of everything that I have to be grateful of, because it really didn't change my life. It gave me more than it took from me. And I know that I could have died. Someday I'll tell you the whole story, and it's all of its, immersive detail.
Either way, that was.
I could have, my life was threatened. He flat out said, I'll kill you. I'll kill you where you stand. And I'm still here. Again, I'm still here for a reason. And I believe that the only reason strong enough I can think of is that I have a purpose of being here to serve others.
That is okay for those listening to this, because there's going to be both audio and visual to this. For those who are listening to this, I'm in awe. Okay, like I'm in awe. My face is kind of like I'm trying to process everything, because I knew a little bit of this, but hearing it straight from you is a totally different experience than hearing it on like someone else's show. You know what I mean?
I want to add something to that with
Yeah.
Rhonda's story, is that yes, this happened to her in 6 weeks. She won, but
In
she
6 weeks she won.
yeah, but she won on her own accord because she went
Right.
against what the doctors told her. It's a great pivotal moment. For me, it's a good coaching moment. Like, you don't have to let the world define what you're capable of doing. She did
Nope,
not
not
let
at all.
the world. She didn't co-sign with what the world told her.
Yep.
Take this medication, do this, you need to rest, you're not supposed to do any training, any playing, nothing. And this woman was so true to her calling and her desire of her heart that she said, bump you. I'm not paying attention to you, because what I know in my truth and my desire, this is what I desire to do. So on her own accord and her inner power, inner strength, it led her to the championship.
I'll even take that detail a little further. During the attack, Worlds was at the front of my mind. Like I said, I took 10 to 15 shots to my face and head from behind. I never threw a single punch. All I could do was kind of go like this and try to protect myself. I kind of scrolled away and turned around, and I squared up. As soon as I squared up, they stopped hitting, and the very first cognizant thought I had in that moment was, I'm not going to hit back. I'm not going to swing right now. I'm not going to escalate this because they've stopped hitting, and I don't want to break my hand on your dumb, stupid face and not be able to hold my racket in 6 weeks and represent my country at World Championships. So Worlds was very much front of mind while I was getting my butt kicked. I mean, that was like in real time. I'm standing there face to face with these guys, and I see, my own blood on their brass knuckles, and I'm thinking about, hold that thought. I got Worlds. I'm not going to hit you if I don't have to. And then even with all of that happening, and it never even occurred to me in that moment. It never occurred to me that a felony had just happened. It never occurred to me that I needed to call 911. I started walking home like this, trying to keep my eyeball in my head, and all I could think of was, man, I really hope we still have some Advil, because this is going to be sore in the morning. Never crossed my mind to call anybody or do anything about it.
Man, okay, that
next morning I'm in the hospital and everything, and I remember saying, my poor mother got the call, that I was in the hospital and that I had been attacked. And the thing that probably hurt me the most is that, and I still can't unhear this, was hearing my mother's speak over the phone from down the hall. And that's something I can't unhear. And it pains me that she was in that kind of anguish. But as soon as I got the phone back, I'm like, Mom, I'm fine. It's all right. And she's just hysterical. She's making noises. She's not making words at this point. And
of course, because her daughter just got assaulted.
But my take on it was, I said these words to her trying to calm her down, but as I heard them again coming out of my own mouth, I'm like, no, this is legit how I feel. This is real. This is an actual thing. I'm like, Mom, I just took some shots to the face. They didn't rape me. They didn't rob me. They didn't kill me. I'm going to be fine. I just took some punches to the face. It'll be all good. I did not know my face was shattered. I didn't know that my eyeball was going to fall out. I just, was making sure that it didn't. But, I say all that to say it never occurred to me that I would not be
Mhm.
going.
Mm.
I'm like, I got 6 weeks. And all of
Yeah,
that comes
yeah.
all of that comes from I know myself, and I know what I'm capable of.
Mm.
That is the
Mm.
effort for every person who says you can't go, you shouldn't go, we can't let you go. Everyone who said you can't, I didn't say watch me, but I'm like, but yes, I can, because I know that I can. I know myself well enough to know that I am prepared to win this world championship. I know that I know what I'm capable of. I know that I can do this. I know that I don't want to be the weak link for Team USA. I'm not demanding my spot for an ego trip to go to Ireland and walk around with everybody while they're winning and I'm, drinking my soup through a straw. I'm not going for that reason. I'm going because I know that I know that I can do this. I know that I can do this. I know that I can help the team. I know that I'm still an asset. I know that I'm still, willing to do whatever it takes to be not just on the team that goes, but win the damn thing. And so that's what I had to do. I had to convince the coach to let me maintain my spot, because it never
I
occurred to
bet.
me. It never occurred to me that I wouldn't be going. And we had a phone call after I got out of the hospital, and he said, he's asking me all the questions, and then he wraps up by saying, "Well, good luck, kid. We'll be thinking of you and praying our asses off for you, and we're gonna play our asses off for you too." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" He goes, "In Ireland, we're gonna be playing our asses off for you." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be playing my ass off for you guys too." And he goes, "You're not going." And he starts laughing. And I was
Mm.
devastated. I was devastated. For about 3 days, I was devastated. And I was just, I was depressed and couldn't, you know, I was not okay. And I knew that I couldn't stay in that state. So I sent him an email and I copied everyone on the USA Racquetball Board of Directors and the US Team Committee and everything. But I addressed it to the coach because he was the one who told me that I wasn't going, and I was just aghast. I'm like, "What do you mean I'm not going?" Like, of course I'm going. Why would I not go? Again, I know what I can do. I understand why that looks ludicrous from the outside. Now, in the moment, I
Mm.
didn't. But
You,
I said, "Dear Dave, apparently whether or not I go to the World Championships next month is not up to me. But whether or not I am ready to be the world champion is entirely up to me. So please do whatever you need to do and have your meetings and your phone calls and do whatever you truly believe is in the best interest of Team USA. But just so you know, I will be ready to be the world champion by July 29th. That was the day our flights left. And by the way, I obviously covered this in several speaking engagements. So just to make sure that I was remembering everything correctly, I went back and I found that email and I looked it up.
mm.
And I was almost word for word, pretty spot on. Except there was an entire sentence at the end that I forgot about. Apparently, I blocked that part out. And
Mm.
that last sentence. So I said, apparently, just so you know, I will be ready to be the world champion by July 29th. So if I don't go and you don't win, that's on you. Who says that? Who says that? That's like Babe Ruth calling his next home run from the hospital bed. It's going that way. Right?
Mhm. Like I'm gonna hit this over the bleachers. I'm gonna hit this over the bleachers for you. That's
Yeah, exactly.
oh
Exactly.
oh my. You see that? You see what that whole thing would have been an 80s or 90s sports movie.
They're doing
I'm
a
telling you.
documentary on it right now. There's a production company doing a documentary on me right now. It's going to take another 2 or 3 years, but yeah.
You
Mm.
see why I'm collaborating with this woman?
Right?
Because she's a badass. Like, think about it. The power of the mind.
Her
And the
mind would
fact
not let her like you weren't even really thinking about the fact that, oh yeah, I'm banged up, but you didn't know how severely. You were like, no, I'm banged up. I'm just gonna recover, take a little bit of Advil, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Your mom's hysterical. Everybody else around you is like, nah, it's not a good idea that you go. And it's like, look, you were too focused on your original task, and wow.
Well, and again, the one advantage I had over everyone else that I was surrounded by, no matter how much they loved and cared about me and wanted to see, nothing but had the best intentions for me. I knew myself
Mm.
and I knew what I
Yourself.
was capable. And by the way that I talked my way into being able to even be allowed to go on that trip and not be
Mhm.
replaced, I I signed up for 3 divisions in an outdoor tournament. I got jumped on June 1st. I played in this outdoor tournament the second week of July. And I played 3 divisions and I made the finals of all 3 and I won one of them. And I remember being genuinely pissed that I didn't win all 3.
Mm.
Yeah, that's facts. I'm still salty about it. But anyway, the coach had driven down. This was in Huntington Beach, and he was from Stockton. He drove down to come watch me play. And like I said, I played 3 divisions over 4 days, so I played a ton of matches. And at the end of it all, he's like, "Wow, I wasn't expecting that." He's like, I can't believe you're out here. I can't believe you played like that. I can't believe you made 3 finals. Like, and he's asking me all these questions. And at some point in the conversation, he just kept, "Yeah, but what about this? Yeah, but what about the doctor?" I'm like, "Don't worry about the doctors, leave them to me." And at some point, he just kind of kept trying to find excuses to tell me no. And I said, "Dave, I don't need my face to hit the ball. My arms and legs still work. I can still hit it and I can still go get it." And he laughed and he goes, "Oh, well, yeah, that's a good point. And I watched you do that for the last 4 days. All right, let me think about it." And ultimately it was his recommendation that I be allowed to maintain my spot and go on the trip. And I'm not saying that I didn't experience doubt. Of course I did. I'm human. I'm saying what if
Of
too.
course.
Yeah, I don't want to be the weak link for Team USA. I want to be, I
Mhm.
want to be, I want to hold up my end. And I played in another tournament in Pennsylvania the weekend right before we were all leaving for Ireland. And one of my USA teammates was there. She was one half of the doubles team. Great player, definitely Hall of Famer, most decorated doubles player, male or female ever. Um, Doubles titles from here to Montana.
Mm.
And she's a tremendous athlete, great player. And she actually beat me in the singles 11-10 tiebreaker of that Pennsylvania tournament. And just because she and I are such good friends who go all the way back to juniors, basically, and I know that she's not one of those people who will try to butter anybody's toast. She tells you straight up like it is, no matter how ugly or painful it may be to hear. And I asked her, I said, "You're the only person on the team that I trust to give me the straight answer on this without trying to make me, worried about my feelings." I said, "So I need you to tell me straight up." She's like, "What?" I said, "Do you feel like I'm going to be the weak link? Do you feel like I'm going to be a liability for the overall team success?" And she looked at me like she wanted to punch me on the other side of my face. She's like, "Hell no, I just barely beat you. I got a lucky bounce and I know it. You absolutely had me. And look at you. You're in this condition and I barely got by." And like, "Okay, so we cool?" She's like, "Yes, no, I don't have a problem with you going." Because I didn't want to, if I should have relinquished my spot, I need to know that. And I felt confident with, asking her that she was going to tell me straight up. And she's like, "No, I don't have a problem with you going. You are not going to be a weak link. You are not going to be a liability. Just go, you better kick some ass in Ireland the way that you just almost kicked mine. Because you made me work for that." And I'm like, "All right, fair. If Amy says I can go, then I can go." And that was, a moment where I'm like, this to say that this is ego related does not resonate with me, because I literally just want to go be the best I can be for the team. But if the best I
Mm.
can be for the team is at home cheering them on, then I want to honor that, because that is, I want to be the best teammate I can be for them. And if it's not playing, then I need to know that. And this is the person that I trust to tell me straight up, based on what she just saw and what she just experienced being on the court with me. Not just because we're friends, not just because I have a great history, or not just whatever, but just because she just watched me play and we're leaving next week. Does she feel that I'm ready? And she's like, "No, your ass better be on that plane." I'm like, "Okay, great, let's go." And
Wow.
I have to say this though too. This was such a special tournament for me, not just because I lived long enough to play it, but
Mhm.
so there was 2 women singles players and 2 more women that were doubles players, 2 men's players and 2 more men that were the doubles players. So there's eight of us all together. This was an all USA singles final for both the men and women. So I actually played my USA teammate in the final. USA was going to win no matter what. Same story in the men's singles final. Team USA was going to win no matter what. Then the men's doubles team and the women's doubles team also won their final. So we swept every individual award, and then based on that play, we also swept the men's overall, the women's overall, and the team overall. And that is the last time. Oh, I have goosebumps right now. That is the last time that Team USA swept every single gold medal there was to get.
Wow.
Wow.
It was truly,
Wow.
really a special squad to be a part of, and I'm eternally grateful for the opportunity to go, even though everyone said, "What are you doing? No, you can't go. Are you nuts? There's no way. How can you?" Nope. So when people try to impose limits on themselves or acquiesce to the limits that others may try to place on them, I'm not buying what they're selling, and none of us
See,
have. None of us have to.
this is about knowing thyself, to thy own self be true. You guys, it
Mhm.
that that was once again, I'm kind of left speechless. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a talker, So I mean, for me, oh man. So let's so let's segue to the talk you two have coming up. All right, so it's coming up on the 31st. What is it called? What is it about? Where can people sign up?
You wanna go, girl?
Girl, I just win. It's your turn.
Yeah, right.
So as Kyle alluded to it, it's on Saturday, May 31st, 2025. It's a one-day event. It's a virtual event, so you don't have to worry about buying a plane ticket, leaving the comfort of your own home. You can have your pajamas on if you want to with your coffee. It's all good. And it's 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's called Discover Your Soul's True Calling. 3 steps to finally feel fulfilled. That's what it's called. And what it's all about is a combination of everything that Rhonda and I've been sharing today. Let's say you're in a situation in your life where you feel like you're in a situation, where you feel like there's circumstances, where you feel like there's problems, where you feel like there's roadblocks, or where you feel like you're stuck and you just don't have the clarity. You feel like you're not really living life to its fullest, but there's more out there. Or you may
Mm-hmm.
feel like you're not worthy and deserving of too much, because I know what that feels like.
Mm.
And then, or you may be looking at other people that are living this life that you would love to live, but you're like, how come them and not me? Oh, what's wrong with me? As if there's something wrong with you, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with you.
Nothing.
Like nothing wrong with you at all. But then you find yourself in the self-loathing and then the victimhood mentality and all the limits you put on yourself, whether it's from your thinking, you're not worthy, you're not capable, you're not deserving, whether it's from your feelings of fear and doubt and worry. And that's normal because you're human. You're going to be able to have those fears. And what we'll be able to provide for you in our sacred time together with us loving on y'all is, how do you get to maneuver through life when that crap pops up? So when fear pops up, worry and doubt, what do you do? Do you not think successful people don't have fear, worry, and doubt? How do they manage that? So we'll share with you some hints, some clues, like how do successful people who have the same amount of time that everybody else on the planet have and life happens, how do they manage to overcome that and not have that be a roadblock or a stumbling block? And how can you interpret failure and use failure as a stepping stone, as a signal for you to move forward and close that gap? Or how can you realize, you know what, I'm numb with life right now, but I don't even know what my purpose is. I'm lost, I'm confused, because I know what I know from all of my studying with spiritual laws and universal principles, all that. The universe is talking to us all the time. The key is, are you aligned with the channel that they're on? They're on. Like, do you speak the same language they're speaking? Are you aligned with what they're trying to tell you? Because the universe is talking to us all the time, and we get to share with you, how do you know what it's saying? How do you know what it's telling you? This is how, and then in this area of your life, you want a more fuller expression of this area in your life. Maybe you have this desire to be in this loving romantic relationship, but you got cheated on or burnt in the past, right? How do you just leave the past in the past? Learn the lesson, apply it, and keep it pushing. Because what I know is that the desires of your heart weren't given to you to tease you. They weren't. They
Hmm.
weren't given to you to tease you. So if you can dream it and think about it, you can achieve it. But you gotta believe it and be aligned, because all of the answers and all of the solutions and everything that you need to turn that dream into reality is out there. It really is. You're just not attracting it. And the best way I can describe that visually for people who are visual, people's like, I want to be a money magnet, but really think about how hard is a magnet working? It really isn't working hard. A
Hmm.
magnet is there and knows its truth and knows its power. And all it simply does is shows up, and the things that are aligned with its power and its frequency is drawn to it. It doesn't chase it. And so many people are chasing life, chasing dreams. You don't have to chase the dream. Let the dream come to you. You don't have to chase it. You can live effortlessly. You can be in a flow state. Like Rhonda said, you're trying to swim upstream, downstream. You're working extra hard, going nowhere fast. And you don't have to do that, because struggling is a choice. It really is. And
And
all this that I'm
and
sure I learned this. Like, I didn't know
Mhm.
this, but I learned this because I said yes to my yes. I finally said yes to me and
You
said,
said yes to you.
I said yes to me. I get to go. Because I remember down and out, walked away, let the fiance keep it all. Keep everything. Keep it all. But I did take the NutriBullet, the Ottoman,
Yeah.
and the Barstool. Let him keep everything. Because before we met, I had a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. I let him keep everything. And I remember so vividly, just on my best friend's couch, because I didn't have a plan B. I thought he was my plan A to Z, per se.
Mm.
And I'm just bawling and crying and just saying, is this the best it's going to get? Are you freaking kidding me? I'm 52 going on 53. Are you serious? This is it? This is the best I'm going to get. This is it. And I'm so glad that I humbled myself in all my snot and tears and just purged my soul and just yelled, and like I reached out for some help and support, and there I am, and I got the help and support I needed, and I gave myself permission to do the work.
You gave yourself permission to do the work. I've been there in my own way. I was very I was sort of a well, not I was a happy kid, but also kind of negative at the same time, based on just based on stuff I couldn't control. You know, I've talked about this before. Doctors counted me out. From the time I was born, but I didn't know that until I got older,
Mm,
right? And I didn't know that until I was talking to my mom about it, and she told me that the doctors didn't think I would ever walk, right?
mm,
They didn't think I would ever walk. They thought I'd be in a wheelchair or walker or whatever the rest of my life. And people in school, they were ready for that. Like when I was in elementary school in the '90s, right? A kid with cerebral palsy, that's what they expected. They expected wheelchair walker, speech problems, things of that nature. I've been told as an adult I'm not disabled enough, right? I've been told that in not too many words. It's more like it's more like, oh, because you can bathe yourself, clean yourself, feed yourself, all that stuff, then we're not going to help you with such and such, right? So it's always going to be a fight because everybody has an idea of what a disabled person is supposed to be. Now I'm hearing more and more of people with different diagnoses, whether it be whether it be mental, whether they be born with it, whether it just it happened to them by chance, or anything like that. And people are out here thinking, um, like every time I hear something about autism, now I'm thinking of on the political spectrum, what they're trying to feed people. They're feeding people these false narratives of, and these old archaic narratives of, oh, they're not going to have a good way of life. They're not. This was not a thing when I was a kid. Da. I notice, and I hate to always say this, but the people that are saying this, they're much older, and the only research they had was what it was like when they were kids. They never really did the research of today. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I've seen so many people with issues upon issues, and they're living life. They're living. They're not surviving, they're living. They're not out here asking for everything under the sun. They're going out there and they're getting it. It's not about I'm not a I don't chase. I don't chase anymore, because I know where I am in life, and I'm happy. You know, I don't chase. I can't run that fast. I don't chase. My name is not Pepe Le Pew. I'm not gonna chase. You know what I'm saying? So it's it's really like, once my attitude about me
Woo!
and my situation changed, I started feeling a lot more happy about myself, a lot more like enriched. On top of the
Mhm.
fact that I come from a met some people in my family. That's I come from a huge, very encouraging family. Anything that I wanted to do, they said, "Okay, let's see how we can make that happen." No one ever discouraged me. The only person that discouraged me was me, and maybe
Mhm.
if and maybe a few people that didn't really know me. They just knew what they thought of me, you know. So
Mhm.
so I hear you when you, and I've had the pleasure of sitting in on one of your virtual events, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And yeah, like these things are like, yeah, that takes about a day. But there was a lot of there was a lot of, I don't know, I forget exactly which one it was. I just remember meeting a lot of people. I just
Yeah, it
remember
was it
meeting a
was
lot
the
of
vision it was the vision workshop, and this
It was
current
the vision workshop.
workshop
Okay.
and this current workshop is that on steroids.
And that is, that whole thing, because I don't think it felt like I was in a class, but but at the same time, I felt like I needed to be there, you know? So how did you guys decide to tag team this together? Like what was it where you were like, you know what, let's see if we can work together on this.
Well, I knew I was gonna do the workshop, period,
Hmm.
prior to Rhonda saying yes to my invitation. I knew I was gonna do it, and because I am a student of me, I'm very clear about when I get direction from the power above, and I call it my
Hmm.
download, and I got a download, and it was like, "And Rhonda needs to be a part of this. Like, she needs to be a part of this. I want to see if she wants to collaborate with me on the workshop I'm doing, and I'll make some tweaks and whatnot to it, but she really needs to be a part of it." And when we were having our client coach relationship, both parts, me with her and her with me, we jokingly said, "Oh, one day we're going to do something together." Like we said it, right? We're going to do something together. But I was like,
Yeah.
it hit me though. It hit me. It was very, very clear. Rhonda's supposed to collaborate on this with me. Like she's supposed to. And so I asked her, and it was pretty much a hell yeah from her. We have our own styles, but but it was
Yeah.
pretty much hell yeah.
The one thing I got from you guys last, once again, I'm going off of the information I got from the last interview. You guys are very direct on what you are, on what you're asking. When you want to do something, you you just ask, hey, do you want to do this? We'll do this way. And one of you will be like, you'll be on the same wavelength, same energy, right? And
Always.
it's it's like, yeah, you guys are sisters for real. Do y'all always agree on things? No, but I got siblings. Do I agree with everything they think? No, uh-uh. But
You
I
know,
love them, and I
I'm gonna tell you
and I
something,
bring
Kyle.
them onto stuff I'm trying to do. You know?
I have to reflect on that. I actually think right now, Rhonda and I have agreed on everything so far.
Mhm.
Like, so I can't think, right, Rhonda? There
I
may be
think
a tweak on addition, but we're
I
pretty aligned.
I think actually, and I might even be wrong on this, but when I picked you up from the airport that one time you came to visit and we went to breakfast, I don't think we ordered the same thing.
It's only
That might be the only thing we weren't like completely aligned on.
You remember what you ordered?
Everything else we're right there.
like it's great. We're like a magnet. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
it is. Yeah, because I live in California, in the Bay Area, and Rhonda lives in Arizona. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So when you guys decided to like to collaborate on this and call the people you were going to call to help promote it. First, thank you for thinking of me.
You're welcome.
Um, no, seriously, thank you for thinking of me. When I got that call, like, hey, Kyle, you want to do a podcast interview? Yes, right. Um, Yes, and plus, it was the first time. It was the first time I had ever had Miss Lanetta on anything that I do. I just sent her a link one day after I decided to bring my show out of hiatus, and she thought about it. Okay, all right. That is beautiful. So I'm gonna make sure that all the pages, all the links and everything are available. Everything will be either on screen or in the description box, and you guys will be tagged in everything. So, but before all that, I want to thank you both. Definitely gonna be checking out on what you guys are doing in the future.
Mhm.
And this is happening at the end of the month. So give the dates again, the dates and time, please.
Yeah. Saturday, May 31st, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it is very interactive. It The formatting of it can resonate with any learning style. If you're visual, PowerPoint. If you're auditory, you'll hear us. If you're experiential with your learning, you'll be able to experience. There will be journaling, there will be breakout sessions, there will be time for sharing, there will be times for coaching. Like it's all of that tied in one. And trust and believe, it may sound like another long day, but the time will go by fast. Trust and believe, because when you are engaged in something, time there is no time. You just do it, and next thing you look up and you're like, oh my god, hours have gone by. So it's definitely worth the time invested. Absolutely. Absolutely. You get
Mhm.
both of us at the same time. Are you, as Rhonda said, Shaggy and Scooby? Are you serious? You get both of us?
Shaggy and Scooby. Hey, if you're Shaggy and Scooby, who's bringing the sandwiches?
I know,
If
right?
you if you if you're Shaggy and Scooby, who's bringing the food? Because Shaggy and Scooby like to eat. So I'm just
I love it. I love it. But I know you're going to tag everything. I do want to just say it out loud for those of
yep.
you that are intrigued. And this is something where you're like, wow, I like these two ladies, or I like one of them, and or I like the other one, and maybe I'll do half a try because I like kind of, sort of, little, whatever it may be. Whoever it is, around this cracking up, whoever resonates with whichever one of us or both of us, I would love to be in your presence and allowing us to love on you. That's my term I use. Anybody that allows me to coach and teach them, I call it loving on, because I am coming from a place of love. I am
Of
coming
course,
from a place of
absolutely.
love. And so the URL for that is Lanetta Marshall. I'm just going to say it, then I'll spell it. So it's lanettamarshall.com forward
Yep.
slash souls dash true dash calling. So it's my first and last name, Lanetta, MARSHALL, okay, .com/souls, SOULS, hyphen true, TRUE, hyphen calling. Yep, that's
Excellent,
how you can
excellent.
that's how you can register. And I have a special gift for your
Hit me with,
audience.
yeah,
So can I share
definitely.
that? Okay.
Yes, you may.
So
Go right ahead.
because we love surprises, and we, like I said, we love loving on people. And so the special gift that we have is an e-guide and a one-page cheat sheet playbook. Hanging out with Rhonda, I'm learning these athletic terms and whatnot. So it's a playbook, and it's called the Power Within, 5 P's to manifestation. What are like the 5 steps to manifesting? And so Kyle will have it linked in, but it's my name again, LanettaMarshall.com/power within. Power within. You heard Rhonda's story. All this stuff that she's been able to accomplish, it came from within. You heard my story. I'm down
Definitely.
and out and damn near broke, but I'm able to totally turn that around in 18 months. Some people can do it faster. You know, Rhonda was very clear about when things came to her with such specificity and clarity when she was 8. But for me, it took me until I was in my 50s. So the age doesn't matter. What matters is your willingness to say yes to your yes, which is saying yes to becoming a better version of you, the truer version of you, so you can be that magnet to attract the things that are required for you to live the life you would absolutely love living. It's the willingness and the commitment to do it. And we're here for
That
you
is
to guide you. Yeah.
that is true. That is beautiful. And I'm gonna probably be an emotional wreck editing this, just letting you know. Um, but it's no, it has been a true honor to talk to you both. Getting to know both of you a little, a little better. Especially Miss Rhonda, because this is our first time meeting. You know, so I gotta say big ups to both of you all. As far as like you two individually, where can people follow you?
For me, my email address is coaching at LanettaMarshall.com. My IG is Lanetta.Marshall. And my Facebook is Lanetta Marshall LLC. And I'm so proud of myself for remembering the socials. I am one of those people that I'm not consistently on the social platform. I'm working
Mm,
on it. It's not something that readily and easily comes to me. And maybe it isn't my thing. Not everything is for everybody, right? And so I'm
yeah,
I'm
true.
finding,
Not everything is
yeah,
for everybody.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where you can find me. Rhonda, take it away, girl. Where can they find you, baby?
I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn. Both are just my name, RHONDA RAJSICH. No space, no underscore, no dash, no nothing. And I'm just gonna I'm gonna leave you out with a little quote based on that butterfly story
Yep.
I told a little earlier. Um, and by the way, you don't have to be at rock bottom to benefit from this. You don't have to be down and out. You don't have to be in the middle of a struggle, but no matter where you're at in your life, this can benefit you even if there aren't some things you can apply right away. I promise you're gonna be glad you have them in your back pocket for later if anything comes up. And here's the quote, because I mean, like I said, I think we all go through multiple butterfly stages, multiple evolutions of self over the course of our lifetimes. And the quote was, just when the caterpillar thought its life was over, she realized she could fly. And I
Mm,
love that because there's so much on the other side of wherever you're at, there's so much more on the other side of it.
I love it. You know there's more. You want a bigger expression on this planet in whatever every life. There's just more joy, more fulfillment for you. Like, how do you go about doing that? And that's where we come in and support you and guide you along the way. I'm so glad you said that, young lady.
that is no, that honestly is beautiful. And before we sign off, right? Before we sign off, I got one question for the two of y'all. If the younger version of you were to come to you one day, just poof, appear, and ask you the question, how did we turn out? What would you say to them?
How did we turn out? This is the first thing that just came to me. The way I would answer that question is we are the bomb.com. That's how we turned out. We are the bomb.com, and the world has never been the same. That's how we turned out.
See, that's confidence. I love it.
I love it. I love it. Actually, it was my little self that I heard ask that in my little voice, and I would say to my little self, as soon as you can, start to dream bigger. As soon as you can, start to dream bigger, because my younger self didn't know what I didn't know was possible, and now that I know what's possible, I know that I'm gonna break that ceiling. You know what? You know what? Have you ever heard of, is it Richard or Roger? I think it's Roger Bannister. You
Yes,
know
I
him.
have.
You know what he did?
What do you do?
He ran the first the first mile in under 4 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was thought to be impossible. That was thought to be impossible, but then he did it. It was like 3:59 something, but it was under 4. It was under a 4-minute mile. Never been done before in the history of humankind. 6 weeks later, somebody else did it. 2 weeks later, somebody else did it. A month later, somebody else did it. And all these different people who had never run under a 4-minute mile suddenly began. Now it's not this big, oh my goodness, this is an impossible thing, because so many people have done it. Why? Because somebody did it once, and that proved that it was possible. The reason it had never been done before was because it was believed. That's a limiting belief. It was believed that it was impossible. Nope. You just sit, and if you think about how many things in life we attach those limiting beliefs to just because we haven't seen it yet, we haven't experienced yet, we don't have proof yet. Well, this is also part of the workshop is faith. It's not I'll believe it when I see it. It's I don't need to see it to believe it. And when you have that, that is where true greatness reveals itself, because just because you haven't seen it or you haven't done it yet doesn't mean that it can't be done. It just means it hasn't been, and it's because you didn't dream big enough yet. As soon as you dream big enough and place your order, guess what's going to align for you?
You know what I just thought of though?
What?
Okay. You ever notice that when you're a kid, like they have all these motivational posters. At least when I was in school, I don't know how things are now, but they had all these motivational posters around. They would tell you you can do anything if you put your mind to it. They would talk, they would talk about just apply yourself. You do this. People like to say this one phrase that never made sense to me, and that's pick yourself up by your bootstraps. That never made sense to me, honestly, because logic. But once you're an adult, though, right? Once you're an adult, you don't hear that anymore.
No.
Once you're an adult, what you do here is, oh, you're an adult now. You gotta pay these bills. You gotta go. You gotta go to work. If if you're lucky, especially in this economy, you gotta find a place to live. You gotta, you gotta get married. You gotta do this. You gotta do that. But it's very rare that I see like motivational posters for adults. When you're a kid, especially if you're young, you seem like you got all the confidence in the world, right? Like when you're young, I'm looking at my little nephews and my little nieces. They're 3 and 4 years old. They jump, they laugh, they cry, they get hurt, they get back up, they talk, they ask, they ask for help. They ask for people to play with them, all this stuff. But then as soon as you hit adulthood, it's like you don't hear that anymore because they're thinking, oh, you're supposed to have this figured out by now. There's no age limit. There's no age limit to this stuff. I would hear my friends be like, "Oh, I thought I'd be, I have this job by the time I was this age. I thought I'd have this many kids. I thought I'd have like, a husband, a wife, or whatever." And then if they don't, they're disappointed. That doesn't mean give up. That just means you don't have it yet.
That's all it
That's
is. You're just missing
that.
an ingredient. It's like baking a cake. Let's say you bake a cake, the cake of life. Okay. Life is a cake, but you forget one ingredient. You forget the yeast that makes it rise, right? So when you bake the
Mhm.
cake, it stays flat. So does that mean that you're not a good baker? Does that mean that you can't bake a cake? It just means that you missed an ingredient. And that's how I look at life. Just because it didn't work the first time doesn't mean that you can't be successful the next time. It just means that you're missing an ingredient. It's an ingredient. And so, what's the ingredient that I'm missing? And that's what Rhonda and I provide for people. We provide you with the tools, the knowledge, the understanding to hold your hand, not to beat it to you. You willingly receiving it. You just don't, like I said on another podcast, in life, you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. You just don't know something that you don't know, and you just don't know that you don't know it yet. That's it.
Yet.
Yes.
Ms. Lanetta,
Yes,
please,
ma'am.
please repeat the same 4 words that you said to me that made an instant switch.
What was those words? I said
Up, un-
something to you.
up until this point.
Oh, up until now.
Mm-hmm.
That
That part.
that's a phrase that I learned through the tools of Mary Morris. When you say up until now, what you're doing is you're acknowledging everything that had happened up until this moment. That is the truth. That did happen. I'm upset. I'm pissed. I'm this. I'm that. I'm that. But when you say now, up until now, you're putting the universe on notice saying, yeah, I know that stuff happened, but now is a new moment.
It doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have
It
to stay
doesn't
like
have
that.
to be like that.
It does not have to be a life sentence.
Right, it doesn't. Because life is a string of moments. Up until now, all those other moments gave me this result, but that's up until now. Because now I'm putting you on notice saying it's gonna be different because I said so. And I believe it to be so. I believe it's
Life is
gonna
not
be
a life sentence.
no. Life is a
Life
string
is
of
not
moments.
a life sentence.
No, it's not.
Where the heck is my pen when you need one? Hold on. I'm typing this right now. That might be the title. That might be the title of this episode. What y'all think?
Life is not a life sentence. Because life be lifing, but it doesn't have to be a life sentence. I like
Nah.
it. I like it. What about you, Rhonda? You like it?
Rhonda, what you think? Oh,
Life
got the
doesn't have
thumbs
to
up.
be a life doesn't have to be a life sentence. It doesn't. It doesn't define your what's next. Your what's next is the next moment after this current moment. And you get to control that. Because that very next moment, you have more skills because you've experienced life already. Just learn how to not let life happen to you, and you get to happen to life. You get to happen. That's how powerful you are. You get to happen to life, sweetheart.
I got one more quote for you. It's one of my favorites. I caught myself kind of. I'm like, oh, that was gold. I got to write that down. Perspective. Perspective is so powerful, and it is so underrated, and it is so almost just kind of glossed over. But perspective is so powerful. You know why? Because perspective is the only thing that can drastically change the outcome of a situation without changing any of the facts. And that right there is what up until this point does. Up until now, changes the perspective of this is how it always has to stay. Just like it always has to stay that no one can run under a 4-minute mile. Until somebody did it, then it didn't stay that way, did it? It doesn't have to stay that way. Whatever it is It doesn't have to stay that way. It doesn't have to continue on that path. It doesn't have to continue to carve that groove in that direction that way. Perspective gives you the opportunity to make a different choice, to choose a different outcome, to choose a different vantage point, to choose a different set of ingredients. Maybe you want to make brownies instead of a cake. That's fine. Maybe you maybe you want to
Maybe
make
you
a
want to
cake, but
make
you
a
want to
pie.
make cupcakes out of it. You know, I mean, yeah, maybe you want to
You
make a pie.
know,
Maybe you want to settle for pudding. Like whatever it is.
I'm
It
down for
doesn't
whatever.
exactly. Exactly. All right, I need hunger. I'm hungry now. I need some food.
No, yeah, right. Yeah, Shaggy and Scoop hungry. I hear you. So,
Scooby
but
snacks. Scooby snacks.
Scooby snacks. Let's go.
Okay, that's what we have to call break time during the workshop. All right, it's
Snacks.
time for the break. Time for some Scooby snacks. We'll reconvene.
I'm gonna have to do a PowerPoint with Shaggy and Scooby.
There we go. I love it. I love it. Well, once again, I know we kind of veered off a little bit there, but you know what? Fine, that's whatever. That was natural, you know. So I want to say thank you to you two again for being on today's episode. Definitely, everyone, all the links, everything will be in the description. Their event is on May 31st, Saturday, May 31st, and honestly, I can't wait to talk to y'all again. I cannot wait to talk to y'all again.
Well, we can't wait. We can do another one after the event is over. We can bask in the glory of how many lives were impacted with the new possibility. How about that?
Yeah,
That's
right. That sounds great. And for anybody out there who may be struggling right now, who may be dealing with whatever it is, know that life is not a life sentence. Just because it starts one way does not mean that it's just going to be that way. You know, there's so many paths that we can take that it's really it's endless. You know, the world doesn't decide who you are, you do. You know, and that's how we end, and that's how we're gonna end that on today's episode of A for Abled. Peace and love, y'all.